Hello, everybody, and welcome to DinglesWorld. I am your host, the MrDingle, and today we're going to do something a little different. We're coming up on our 300th video now. We've been making a lot. We've had a lot of personalities come and go, as well as myself, and as I've watched other streamers out there, there's been a lot of times that I've been like, what are these people like off the stream? Like, I see them playing video games, but what's their story? What's their origin story? What got them into the business? What got them into streaming? What makes them tick? And so I've decided that I'm going to do an origin story for each personality on DinglesWorld. So you'll get the Ray Dog, you get the Liliana and the SWAT Fish, and you'll get the the Acid and the Bubbles, and everybody. We'll get them all out there, and so that way you can kind of get a little bit. A backstory for those personalities that you like and love on DinglesWorld. So, without further ado, I figured we'd go ahead and start with me. So, I am the MrDingle. A couple questions I'll throw right out there, like where did I get the MrDingle and where did I get DinglesWorld? Actually, it goes back to Grand Theft Auto, and I was playing GTA 5 online for the first time, and I really wanted to come up with a name that I felt was, kind of quirky and funny, and something that, when you were seeing somebody in chat, or you were seeing the name flash on the screen, it made you think, it made you notice. Or when you saw somebody, they were highly recognizable, or it's just like made you go, that guy's name is what? And so I wanted Dingle, and that was taken. And then the Dingle, and then that was taken as well. And then there was the MrDingle, and then that actually really jived with me. So the origin of the DinglesWorld was GTA 5 Online, which could actually go into the next question, which is, I believe that GTA 5 Online is probably the best game ever made. If you've never played GTA 5 Online, I highly recommend it. But again, I don't want these to be super long. I want them to be short and sweet, and then touch on the main points, things that you want to know about me. So we do. DinglesWorld does have some affiliates. For instance, right here we have New Metagaming, and that is Swatfish and Liliana's brainchild. It's basically our Discord. It's where I go every night and stream with a bunch of really wonderful people that I've met on there. Liliana I've met on there, Swatfish and Bubbles, and the list goes on, and you too. And when we do Liliana and Swatfish's bio, they'll get into the nuts and bolts of New Metagaming, but essentially they're the Discord to which they host many streamers, and I'm one of them. And I also tap into the pool of personalities and invite people onto the stream. And that's what I believe separates DinglesWorld from all the other streams out there, is that we're more of like a radio show. Where there's a lot of streamers out there, it's all about them, and it's all about what they're doing. I like the community aspect. I like there's me with other people, and sometimes those people come and go, like Azo, love him to death, but he disappeared on me. And then, Angel's right now, again, a good person, love him to death, and he's going through some transitionary stuff. So sometimes he'll come back. Sometimes people come and go, but it's all about the conversation, and basically it's about gamers. This is where gamers go to hang out. This is where gamers go to play games. And this is the gamer chat. Like I always talked with my brothers growing up. We had our LAN parties with our friends. When we were playing World of Warcraft, it was always like, God, I wish we could record this and put this out there. People would love to see this. This is kind of that brainchild. Finally took that step and made it happen. And DinglesWorld's been around now for about 2 years. And off and on, I had some unrealistic expectations early on, and then I took a break for a while, and then I've come back, regrouped, and now this is a passion project. So that kind of talks about my partnership with New Metagaming, and the partnership is important because it is a Discord not that I use and that DinglesWorld personalities use, but you can use, and we put it in all the descriptions down below, and we want you to come join the Discord, come join the conversation, and come join us. So that's why I say it, not because they're a partner and I want them to do well, but I say it because I want you to come be a part of that family. DinglesWorld is is not just us, it's all of you. Like DTK, perfect example. Watch the stream. We played some Overwatch with DT, and then next thing you know, DT's part of the stream. We all love DT, and the same could be true for you. So, some other really important things that I want to touch on about myself. Um, my bit of my gaming history. So what does that mean? So I actually am an old man. and I've worked in the game development industry for 15 years. And so I have a long history in game development, and I like to, in my videos, share my perspective on it, whether that be on game development or on games in general, kind of giving you a little insight into, how game development works. I like to think I bring a unique perspective that you don't see in a lot of other streamers that don't have that experience. And so, I started off working at Electronic Arts in the technical support department, and just answering phones. Came out of college, didn't finish college, came out of college and started and just went straight into games because my older brother got hired there, and he was like, dude, you can work for EA. And that just sounded like the coolest thing ever. Working in video games, that was a dream. But one of those dreams that you never thought you could achieve. Those dreams you never thought you could accomplish. But I could, and I did, and I had the opportunity. So I went, I'll answer phones, I'll fix people's broken bus computers, whatever. And so I got in, and I did that for a while. And the EA was big, but it wasn't like it is now, And like I've always said, regardless of, what you feel about EA, EA's always treated me well. And so they had a quality assurance department there, and back in the day, the people that were on the phones would transition off and test some games before they were released, and then you'd swap back onto the phone when you were done. And I volunteered like to go play video games for a living. Are you kidding me? And I volunteered, and I eventually got in. And then next thing you know, I was doing it more and more and more, and then until they finally broke off and became their own quality assurance department, and which I was a part of, and I was just a core guy, and I worked my way up to the ranks to supervisor, and I finally got to a point to where my boss told me, hey, look, there is no ceiling here. There is a ceiling here. I'm not going anywhere, and the only place that you go from here is to my job. And I know that the testing department really wants you. And I said, I looked at him and I appreciated that, and thank God, because that man is still doing that shit today. And so I would probably not have gone to where I wanted to go in my career. But so I took that opportunity, went over to testing, and I was testing video games. I was a core tester, then I was a lead tester, and I managed test teams. And I did a lot of, Tiger Woods, a lot of Sims, a lot of NASCAR, you name it, I did it. I did so many different games I've tested, and those were crazy nights, sleeping under desks, and I could go into story after story after story, and I do tell some of the stories on the stream, so listen for them. But for the sake of this video, getting it out there, I'm just gonna kind of focus on the journey. And so I was in testing, and I was in lead testing, and I always wanted to get into development, but there was like a barrier, at every game company, going from test, or in that environment, test, or the phones, or CS or whatever, and breaking into game development. There was a barrier that you had to jump through, and it was very, very difficult. And so I eventually decided that hey, I wanted to try other things, and I went to the 3DO company. That's right, people, the 3DO company, and bonus points if you even know who that is. But basically, Trip Hawkins was one of the founders of Electronic Arts, and he broke off to do his own pet project, which was a 3DO console. And during that time, the 3DO console was doing fairly well, and and then there I was a testing manager, and before that actually I was a quality assurance manager, and I managed a QA team, and there was some um, difficulty getting product through due to some instabilities and whatnot. Eventually, they ended up merging it into the test department, and I became a testing manager. And I didn't do that for long because during that time, I was doing a lot of Quake 3 level editing using QE Radiant, as well as Unreal Engine using the Unreal Tournament Engine editor as well. But I was making a lot of my own levels, and it was really great because I worked in testing and I had the opportunity to share my levels with the team. Because a lot of them played Quake and Unreal, and we were all connected via LAN, so it was like a big LAN party at lunch or on dinner breaks, and we'd bust up Quake, and I'd bust up my maps, and everyone would play it, and then I'd take their feedback and their information, and I'd refine the map, and then I'd play it, and we keep doing it, keep refining it, and I had a buddy that worked in level design, and he did Quake level editing as well, and I went over to his office, and I showed him some of my stuff. I said, "Hey, you got some new levels. I want you to check them out." And he did, and he really liked it, and he showed them to his boss. And the next thing you know, the very next day, I get a call from his boss in level design saying, "Hey, I want you to come over for an interview." And at that point, I got the job on the spot, and I became a level designer for Portal Runner for the 3DO. It was also for the PS1, the Xbox One. It was Xbox. That was a PS. Oh man, I don't remember. Was it GameCube? That was a long time ago. I have to Google that and look at that. But it was a long time ago. I was a level designer on that. I did some really cool work. It was my first time, doing that, learning the scripting language and all that. But then there came a point, and that living that dream, that all dreams have to end, and the 3DO company started to go under, and it was like rats fleeing a sinking ship. So at that point, I had a buddy of mine that was still at EA, and he said, "Hey, we're going to be taking a stab at the Sims console products." So the herb, or not the herbs, but Sims Get a Life, and then Sims Busting Out, and then the herbs. And so I said, "Hey, right, yeah, I'm down. I'm come over there." I was a assistant producer on those titles, and we developed the first Sims console games that they had tried it previously, but they never were able to get it off the ground. And this was actually one of those projects that a lot of people didn't expect were going to take off, and we did it. And it was a huge success. It was well received. PS1, Xbox, GameCube, all three platforms, and it was just so well received. And so we went on to create that was Get a Life, The Sims Get a Life. And then we did Sims Busting Out, which was basically, it was a spin-off of a consoleized version of what the PC version was, and the PC version was the best-selling PC game of all time at that time. So hell, I mean, you had a good foundation to work from. A game that had a strong roots. And so we did that for a while, and then we did the Herbs, which was another spin-off of it, and that was more of a hipster, kind of like a new age, the graffiti and this, that, and the other thing, and it didn't do as well as the other ones, but hey, can't fault people for trying, so, I really give them A for effort there. And then at that point I decided, okay, I wanted to start a family, and I couldn't do it in the Bay Area. And if anybody's in the Bay Area, you know what I'm talking about. It's very hard, very difficult to live in the Bay Area. And so I moved out of there, and did end up starting a family. And then at that point, I worked for Prima Games. And for those of you that have been in the game industry or been playing games for a long time, you'll remember Prima and Brady and all those strategy guide products. And I worked for Prima Games for about 8 years. Worked on some titles such as oh, by the way, when I was back in EA, I worked on a lot of the Sims 4 and Sims 3 and the PC products as well. So lots of Sims in my life. But then when I went to Prima, out of the gate, I did the strategy guides for the Assassin's Creed, and many. I think I ended up, there was probably almost 300 titles by the time I was done with that. And so I did Dragon Age and all the Dragon Age guides, and a lot of that was just working with different developers. When I worked with the Assassin's Creed team, I got to have some really amazing experiences that I look back on, and just love. Like I got to go to the Montreal, and I got to sit with the Assassin's Creed team and work with them on creating the guide products as well as the collector's edition and going through all their artwork and making that all pretty out there. So you got your collector's edition, your standard product, and you had some video products, and you had an art product, and it was really cool. The team was very welcoming, and I will admit that the best Chinese food I've ever had in my entire life was in Montreal. So to all you Canadians out there, in Montreal, you guys got the best Chinese food I've ever tasted, and a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful city, by the way. So yeah, I did that for about 8 years, and got to see a lot of things and do a lot of things. Battlefield 2142, got to do work on so many good games and so many good titles. But all good things come to an end, and I left there, and I ended up going back to EA again, because you just can't get enough EA, open the door policy. Like I said, whether or not, you like EA games, EA's always been good to me. It's always been good to their employees. So, much love, EA, much love. Then I was a product manager in the worldwide customer experience department there. So my job was to listen to all of you people and the things that you did or did not like about launches or games or the interface or the customer journey or the features, and really kind of make the experience a lot smoother. So I worked with the development teams, hand in hand, every day. Spent a lot of time, digging into what customer feedback was and the legacy issues, the trending with not just that title or with the brand in general and the history of the brand. And I got to work on the Battlefield Hardline. And that was one of the titles that one of my first titles. Also did some other titles, but that was my main one. And I really enjoyed that. Got to work in the war room on launch on that game. I got a jacket. If I had it around, I would show it. But I got a Battlefield Hardline, development hoodie, working on it. And so that was a really, really cool experience. And that was, and then my final gaming experience. I left the industry at that point, and then worked in some other fields which were less exciting, and you probably don't want to know about. But that's kind of like my run, and a brief version. And the stories, oh my God, the stories are so good. So listen to the stream. I love to tell stories. I especially love to reminisce on the game industry and tell those stories, and I do. So I sprinkle them in, and that's something that you can look forward to. What got me into streaming, I would say was my son. He watches, and that's the whole thing now. I'm with being old, as I remember waking up on Saturday and watching Saturday morning cartoons, and and then going out and play, But the kids, they don't watch the cartoons anymore, I mean, I guess they can on like Hulu and Netflix, but kids are all into their streamers now. They go into YouTube and they watch their favorite streamer, and it's really weird and different for me, But I caught on, and I understand it now, and I get it. And one of the streamers that my son turned me on to, which is weird. His name is Papa Jake. He's out there. For those of you that are familiar, he's got like 8 million subscribers. He's pretty popular, so you probably do know him. And he does like box forts and stuff. And it's not the it's one, the content's good, but it's the personality. His personality really gels with I identify with that personality. I like to say that my humor is very similar, and so I just love watching him because that humor I can relate with, and then he just turned it into a job. And, he turned it into a passion project and then a job. And while right now it's just a passion, this is just a passion project for me. I'm not making any money off this, not a dollar, but it's something I like to do. He kind of inspired me, and then actually broke that threshold where it was like the threshold of imagining to achieving my own personal stream. And so mad props to you, Papa Jake. I don't know if you ever see this, but much love, and much love to my son for exposing me there. So trying to think if there's anything else. My games, the games that I like. You see, I play all the games. I play Hearthstone. I play Overwatch. I play World of Warcraft. I play Apex Legends. I play Quiplash. I play Breast Edge. I play the Raft. I play all kinds of stuff. And I don't tie myself down, but if I were to pick a game that I love more than anything, like I said at the beginning of the video, it's going to be your sandbox games. That GTA 5 Online, the reason why I think it's the best game ever made is because the possibilities are endless. What you do, you're not confined by the questing or progressing the storyline. The world is gigantic. The vehicles and the helicopters and your mobility is unbelievable, from helicopters to planes to tanks to jet bikes to hover, DeLoreans. There's just unbelievable amount of vehicles that you can do, and then there's like different modes, like racing modes or trick modes, or they're just exploring the world and just doing you and having your experience. And if you go into YouTube and you type GTA 5 Online, you'll see the role playing, and it's just unbelievable. And I love those kinds of games. I also love survival games too. The whole zombie survival like SCUM. So. So I'm not sure that we could do a part 2 of this. If anybody out there has questions or things that they want to know, maybe there's a particular story you want to hear, put it in the comments field down below, and maybe we'll make another one if you guys want. But I plan on doing this for all the DinglesWorld's personalities, so you'll see one for everyone. And again, we can make sequels for those too. So if there's a particular personality that you want to know something about, let us know, and we can expand the content a little bit more. But for right now, again, I want to keep it short. So that was me. I'm the MrDingle. That was a little bit of a backstory. I got some more secrets out there, that I can share, as we move along. But for now, now you know my origin story. So from everyone here at DinglesWorld, and including myself, thank you for watching, and welcome to the family.
Dum 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 dum. Dum 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 dum.